Hi there, Dr. Lepora here, and I'm so excited to be bringing you this 4-part series on diversity and equity and inclusion. It's a very important element that is on people's minds, on their hearts. And so today we're specifically looking at a diversity, equity, and inclusion maturity model that I developed. And the reason why I thought this was so important is because a lot of organizations, a lot of top powerful leaders are really confused regarding how to approach diversity, equity, and inclusion, and they're a bit overwhelmed by the ocean. And even though individuals are powerful, are skilled, are smart, it does not mean that they know everything. And so specifically diversity and equity and inclusion, many of us are still learning in the industry. And so it's important for people to not be ashamed, but to be open to learning how to leverage D&I to better their organizations, to better their business, to better their teams and their people. So we're going to dive into this model so that you can see a real look, a real evolution of how your organization can grow, take that journey in maturing through D&I. So first and foremost, I want to talk about these 5 levels that you see. Basic, awareness, appreciate, integrate, and sustain. This is very important because what it suggests, what it implies, and what it directly says is that you have to make an evolution journey in order to optimally manifest D&I in an optimal way within your organization. I'm not going to read everything, but I do expect you to read all of this in order to absorb it all. But the essence that differentiates these levels is going from an organization that is more reactive, more based upon what they have to do, to actually being D&I. So it's from an organization that is reactive to passive to active to proactive and then to sustaining. And so these all look very different. And so that intention of your organization, of the efforts, of the investments by your leaders, by the body, is what gets you migrating, what gets you evolving and upgrading through that journey. So what is important to understand is that basic level is one of compliance. It's that organization, we all know that organization is the traditional 80s organization that does what it has to do in order to not get sued, quite frankly, in order to increase liabilities. And so they're going to dot their I's regarding what those government regulations are, but that's where the buck stops because that is all they're interested in and that's what they see the requirement as being. You know, and then that next phase is awareness. Well, okay, we see this diversity, this equity and inclusion, we understand it, and we know what it may be, and it may be a positive thing, you know, and that awareness goes more into a phase of now we appreciate it. We appreciate what diversity, equity, and inclusion is. And not only do we appreciate it, but then that goes into we want to be engaged, we want to be active, we want to do something, you know, to basically manifest this great thing that is good for our bottom line, good for our business, good for our people. And then ultimately that inspiring level is sustaining. And that is when your organization culture represents D&I. It's going from an external focus, again, one that is reactive, one that is about compliance, to one that is more increasingly internal, to one about sustaining. Another way to look at it, or another component of that maturity, is about investment. How much of investment of energy, of intention, and resources is toward an organization being diversified, equitable, and inclusive? As that intention grows, as those investments grows, as those resources grow, then that maturity should grow along with it, assuming that it's the right, obviously, methodology and the right transformational efforts that are made. But at the end of the day, it is an approach that is from an external perspective reactive to one that may include bringing in external professionals and consultants, then to one graduating to internal resources, and then ultimately one that is diverse, one that is equitable, one that is inclusive. And that if you were to change that, you would change the organizational culture itself. Now, I will say most organizations are not at the sustain level. not even 3% within our country at least are at that sustained level. But you absolutely should aspire to that, because that's how you get there. Just like any other business goal that we have to aspire to it, we have to develop the plan, and then we have to apply our plan, our resources in order to get there. So I hope that helps. I hope that gives more information. If you find that it may be beneficial to anyone else, please share, and don't hesitate to reach out with any questions that you may have. Love discussing this, love helping organizations to do their best in the DE&I space, and I wish you all the best on your diversity, equity, and inclusion journey.